Good morning, folks, and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments with our very own Money Truth expert, Money Whisperer, and also all-around guru when it comes to finances. How you doing, Judy?
Oh, I am awesome. It's a big day. We're here in California, and today is our primary day. So I voted. I'm so
All right.
excited. What an honor. We're a big voting family. We're a military family. So we really get it. But it is such an honor when we get to vote, even in the local stuff, even in the primary stuff. It's powerful. So if you're in a place where that's coming up for you, make sure you vote. Otherwise, no complaining.
That's true.
Got to vote.
And, and you got to remember, folks, every vote does count and
Yep.
every vote does make a difference. So, like Judy said, don't complain if you're not getting out there and trying to make that same difference.
Love
So,
it.
welcome to today's show. If you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.today. Today, we have kicking off June by talking about summer cash flow and how to enjoy the season without that financial stress, right, folks? So, today, we're going to talk about, the vacation, camps, travels, all that fun stuff. And we're going to explore how seasonal spending impacts cash flow and how simple planning can help you enjoy your summer without creating that stress. So, what do you say we get started, Judy?
I love it. What a great and timely topic. This is great, especially for young families. This is good stuff.
Absolutely. So, Judy, why does summer create financial stress for so many families, even when it is supposed to be fun?
Because it's the season of yes. And things are different, right? So you're going on vacation, that costs money. You got to either buy a plane ticket or put gas in the car or the RV or the truck if you're going camping, whatever it is. Extra groceries. If you're entertaining, people are coming to see you. That's extra groceries. It's extra everything. Maybe the kids need to have some care while mom and dad are working. And before they were in school, now they've got to have some care. So there might be some childcare expenses that aren't there during a normal school season. So all of these extra things, but it is the time of year where you want to say yes, yes. Let's go to the park. Let's go to the zoo. Let's go, all kinds of places. Let's take a trip. It's vacation. So easy to overspend if you don't plan properly. I'm not saying don't spend, but just try to curb the overspending. If a budget or a spending plan is something you need to really watch, there are definitely ways to have fun and create those experiences that you want to have with your family without spending too much money and ended up with credit card debt that stresses you out. It can be done.
And, I think what we overlook, and a lot of us, right, we underestimate summer spending. Why do we do that?
Well, just not thinking about it. I'm a planner, so it's natural for me to think ahead. What am I going to need in June, July, August? I'm already thinking about Christmas, right? I don't shop at Christmas time. I do that now as much as I can and decorations and things like that. And now's the time. It's available, it's cheaper. You have more time. There's not the stress of all the other holiday stuff. So summer's the same. You plan ahead. So people that are planners already know how much extra am I going to need, if any, how much extra am I going to need this summer for the summer camps and the projects and the travel and the things we're going to do. Maybe we're going to hit up some of those, Disneyland things or those um, theme parks, with all the big roller coasters, whatever it is, go to grandma's house. Maybe there's some travel there. It might cost more than our regular monthly expenses during the year that we kind of settle into. But planning, man, if you plan, you can really make a difference. Stress wise, I mean, right?
So,
So,
eh, yeah, exactly. And you know what? And it seems also that we plan for summers every summer, at least for me in the last so many decades, it's always been different, right? We say we're going to do this, and then summer comes and it goes. But I think that a key question is what summer expenses usually surprise families the most that we don't really think about.
yeah, probably food and travel. There's going to be the things you think about because you're planning your calendar. Like, what the kids are out of school, what week are they going to be at camp? Maybe they go to mini camps, or go away for the summer, at grandma's house for the summer, like we did as kids. What are we going to have? Those big rocks are there because you've had to calendar those things and maybe register for those things. But the other things that come up, communities are fantastic and it's inexpensive, usually very inexpensive. The community programs you have, if you're in or near a city, They've got swim lessons and taekwondo and cooking classes and etiquette classes and classes on how to do sign language or how to fold paper napkins. I mean, classes on anything, and community colleges as well. And everybody's got a community college somewhere within, driving range. Those are very inexpensive ways to have great experiences. And some of our favorite memories are from some of those silly classes that we signed up for when the kids were small. It helped occupy them. It gave them something to learn. It gave them friends, new friends to make, which is great socialization. Learn how to deal with, different personalities, even little personalities. Some little personalities are very big, if you know what I mean. Some of those kids
Very loud too. Yep.
it's like those parents need a babysitter, that they need a break. But yeah, there's so many things that you can do that don't have to break the bank. But this is the time, if there are things that you didn't plan for, they're going to surprise you and might end up on credit cards. But the big rocks usually by now are already put in place. Like we know what the camp will cost. We know what registration for school is going to be, all of that.
Folks, if you're just joining us, welcome. We are talking about some great content regarding summer cash flow and how to enjoy this upcoming summer without stressing out over it. And if you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.today. We'll talk a little bit more about her website later on. But I want to keep going on the questions because, like with every subject we talk about, we run out of time. So I want to make sure I get all my questions answered. So you're a planner. We talked about planning. It's always very good to be able to do that. So how should families start preparing their cash flow before the summer months hit?
Well, think about the expectations that you want. I would gather all the kids around, everyone who's part of your financial world, making decisions and helping spend your money. Who are those people, right? Gather them together and say, okay, here we've got, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever you have left in your summer. What do you really want to accomplish? What feelings do you want to have about your summer? What do you want to be thinking when school starts again? What do you want to be thinking about how your summer went? And see what they say. They might say, we want to relax. They might say, we want to swim. We want to be cool, or we want to be warm, depending on where you live. It might be, we want to have adventure. It might be, we want to go see something new, or we want to be around animals, or we want to do sports. Find out from each of them what their perfect summer would include. And it doesn't have to be the great big 2 weeks on a Disney cruise, right? Just what's the feeling and the thoughts you want to have at the end of the summer? I want to have learned something, or I want to have met someone, or I want to have been someplace. And make a little list and then craft your summer around that. And this is where the budgetary concerns come in. Maybe this year isn't our year for the big Disney trip, but we could start planning maybe in a year or two. We could do that. We'll start planning and saving now. But what is it about going to Disney World that you want? Well, I want to be able to tell my friends I did it. I want to be able to meet the princess. I want to be able to see those Star Wars guys marching around, and I want to get a picture with one of those guys, or I want to meet Mickey, whatever it is. I want to be on the highest roller coaster, or the fastest roller coaster there is. Ooh, so find out what it is that they want. And then whatever's going to fill their spirit up, what's going to fill them up, try to find another way. If this isn't the year to spend all the money, or grandma can't come up with the money for you, right? If this isn't that year, find ways for them to get that goodie without having to spend the money. There's a way to have joy and adventure and relaxation and swim and do all those things, sports, without spending a lot of money. But first, you got to find out what's the outcome your spouse, your kids, your cousins, aunts and uncles, whoever else you're doing life with, what's the outcome that they want? And what choices do we have to create that outcome for them so it's a perfect summer for them without having to spend the money?
And it's a great way to segment into my next question, which is, and we've talked about this before, not only related to summer, but how can families create memories, without having to overspend, right? I think we tend to forget that we don't have to fork out $10,000 to have a good time.
No. Well, I know that you don't, because we didn't. We didn't have $10,000 for vacation or really much anything for many, many years. We were working and building, in the years that we were raising our kids. And I guess, compared to other families, we kind of started early. We had our kids early 20s to early 30s. Which is most people don't. Most people are waiting now, depending on where you live. If you go to the middle of the country, they still kind of start early, but on the coast, we see people waiting a lot longer before they couple up, if they ever do, and start families. So I forgot what your question was. What was your question?
No, it's actually just how can families create memories without having to overspend, right? And
Ye-
you're on this, you're spot on that.
yeah, be creative. Think outside the box. Be silly. Think of things that, the other day I took a walk with my little one of my little grandkids, my little granddaughter. And we walked around the property. Everything is blooming. So there's leaves and all colors of flower petals and all kinds of things on the ground. And there's all kinds of nature. And so I took some strapping tape and made bracelets with the sticky part on the outside. And we just went around and we added flower petals, yellow ones and red ones and purple ones and green leaves to these little pieces of tape and made these beautiful flower bracelets. That didn't cost anything. She got to learn about nature. We got to bond. We got to have a good time together. And it didn't cost, it cost me 1 minute to go back and get the strapping tape and the scissors and cut it. Right. So that was a creative memory that I have, probably a memory that she'll have if she remembers back that far. But things like that, it was a great couple of hours, didn't cost anything. Right. So there are ways to do that. And with older kids, you're like, yeah, but they're 9, they're 10. They're not going to be satisfied with flower bracelets. Right. But there's other things you can do. Make your own sports camp. Schedule out Monday. I'm just making this up right now, but I thought that sounds fun, right? So Monday through Friday, we're going to have our sports camp. Monday, we're going to do tennis and ping pong. Tuesday, we're going to do swimming and bowling. Wednesday, we're going to do baseball and basketball. And every day, schedule a sports camp. And then you get all your equipment together and you get to plan. What do you want to do on Tuesday, right? Tuesday's basketball day. That's going to be my favorite. And you schedule it and you go do it. Didn't cost anything. Now they have sports camps. Cities and colleges have all those kinds of things. If you really you need the break, they need the break. They'll go make friends and do all that. But if it's outside your spending plan, you can't afford it and there's no grants available, make your own, right? Go camping in the backyard. Get all your
Yeah.
equipment. If you don't have a tent, make one, right? It doesn't have to be fancy. And go camping and make s'mores and put on the music and get, if you have to get background tape of crickets because you live in the city, get the crickets going and the water running. And this is what it would be like if we were up at Yosemite or if we were up in Yellowstone. And one day maybe we'll go there. But right now we are camping right here. Isn't this amazing? We did that when we were first married. We were kind of outdoorsy people and we moved to city, which I don't know if that was a good move or not, maybe, but we had an apartment when we first got married, little tiny, and the apartment wasn't bad, but the backyard was just this little fenced in thing, and there's like a row of like 20 of them. And it was probably, I don't know, 12 by 15, maybe. And it had grass and it had a little porch. So we got our hibachi, we got our tent, we pitched our tent, and that was about all there was room for. Got our sleeping bags, got our hibachi and our meat. We cooked the meat, did the whole hamburger thing and the s'mores right there in our apartment. And I have the best memory. It didn't cost us anything. I have the best memories from that. It's like we couldn't afford to get in the car and go to the mountains, but we brought outdoors to us. Kids will remember that. Instead of sitting
Mhm.
formally at the dining table, have cultural dinners. We did this a lot with the kids were little. Let's cook what they eat in Costa Rica. And then you get the banana leaves and serve the rice on the banana leaves. Let's do what they do in China. Let's do what they do in Mexico. Let's do what they do in France. Let's do what they do in Germany. And we would have culture nights and study the food. It was great because I wanted them to have an expanded palate. Kids sometimes just want to eat tacos and burgers, but we have the best memories from that. We would take a blanket and put it over the dining room table and eat on the floor under the table. Some of our best times happened under that dining room table. All of us crammed down there on the floor, having an adventure. Like, well, my friend's mom and dad don't do this. I know. Isn't this fun? Maybe they should try it. So you can be creative and create memories. You don't have to just do what you should. You should do that. You shouldn't do that. We have too many people shooting on us, so many shoulds. Be creative. Think outside the box. What can I do that would be fun, memorable, adventurous? All those values that we're looking for or that your children are looking for. Your spouse, maybe. Think about what your spouse would like. Romance and adventure, right? What is it? So, and then do that and find a way then to do it without having to spend a lot of money. It can be done.
Yeah, and I think another one that we tend to forget also is your local churches. A lot of them have summer camps for kids. A lot of them have summer trips locally. They won't cost you a whole lot, maybe a donation and so forth. And I remember we took advantage of that over the years. when our son was really little, and he had the best times. They took them everywhere, which was really cool too.
I forgot about that. Yeah, church camp was always great. Our kids went, and then I went. What's cool is there's one in Northern California called Mount Hermon. And my parents, when they were in high school, so they graduated in 1948. When they were in high school, so in the 40s, they volunteered and they were counselors every summer in high school up at that camp. And then when they had kids, we all went to Mount Hermon, for camp in the summers. And then our kids now have gone to Mount Hermon, which is really cool. It's the same mountains and the same creeks and the same big trees and everything. But it's really neat generationally. You're right. Summer camps are great. Church camps, school camps, college camps, sports camps. I used to go to gymnastics camp every summer too and train, for the sports stuff. There's so many opportunities. And some cost and some don't. And if it does cost and you don't have the money, you can always ask. And there might be, someone that will sponsor you, or they have grants available. You just got to ask.
Absolutely. So I want to try to squeeze in one last question, because I know our time is running out. But I mean, the obvious, right, is why do people feel that pressure to make sure that summer is bigger than it really needs to be?
Well, comparison, like I mentioned, the kids are like, well, Johnny's family, they got to go on a cruise. Their grandpa took them on a cruise. Or how come they got to, whatever. Well, we're not all the same, and we don't all have the same spending plan. Some of us are saving longer term and maybe spending less now so we can have more opportunities later. So I think it's worth talking through financial concepts with kids. They'll get it. They'll get it, that you're just not saying no to be mean. And one thing I should probably mention that I really hate to hear any parents, but young parents say, we don't have the money. We can't afford that. We don't have the money. You do have the money. They know you have it. They know it's jingling in your purse. That's money, right? They don't know the difference of denominations, but they know there's money. They see there's, dollar bills or $5 bills or $100 bills in your wallet. They know you can go to the bank and pull money out of the wall. So if you say we don't have the money, that's really in their mind confusing and might sound a little bit not like it's not true. Of course you have money. So a better answer might be, we choose not to spend money on that right now because we're going to do this, or we're planning this. Don't say don't have the money. They know there's money. You might think you're saying we don't have enough money for that because we have to pay, the rent, but don't say we don't have the money. That's such bad programming for little minds. Never say that. That's just one of my things. I don't want to hear people say that.
No, you know what? That's a great way of really rearranging that too, and in a great way to change our mindset and how we talk to kids and providing that for them.
Mhm.
Well, we are at the tail end of the show, folks, and you know what that means. It is our Money Truth Challenge, and with everything we talked about, I can't wait for you to share what you got for us today.
Well, based on what I just said, I'm reflecting on that, and I've got two challenges. The first one is just reflect for a moment. Do I say that? Do I say that to other people? Do I hear myself say it? Do I say it to myself? I don't have the money. We don't have the money. Just reflect on that and see if there's a different way that you can have that language come from your mouth. We're making smart choices right now, and we're choosing not to do that today. We're not going to buy that. We're not going to take that trip, whatever it is, right now. And sometimes it's not no, it's just not now, right? So I'm going to add that to your challenge. But the challenge I wanted you to think about was, when you're planning for your summer, gather everybody together and then talk about needs, wants, and wishes for the summer. What do we need to do? Well, we need to put Johnny in soccer camp, right? His whole team is going and he has to do that. What do we want to do? Well, we want to take a trip and go see the Aunt Judy's farm, right? We want to take a trip up there. That's going to be a few $100s in gas and a hotel or two. That might be kind of fun. And then the wishes. What would be ideal as an outcome? Not like what we're going to spend on it, but what do we really want to have at the end of the summer to say about our summer that is like, that was the best ever. We connected. We made new friends. We saw the people that are important to us. We created memories, all of those things. Do that. And remember not to say we can't afford it, because you can. You're just choosing not to. And I think that's important. So have a great week. You can do this. Enjoy planning your summer. If it's voting time this week or next week for you, wherever you live, make sure you get your little sticker and do your voting if you haven't already. And yeah, we'll just leave it with that. Make it a great summer. I want you to have no financial stress at the end of the summer. And I want you to have the best summer ever, where everybody says that. That's in your family decision making. Everybody says best summer ever.
And that will lead to our next week's episode. We're going to talk about travel. We're going to talk about vacations and really how to, avoid turning these memories into debt, right? So you want to stick around. Make sure you share this episode with your friends and family. And also remember, we are here every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. with the replays on Thursdays at 8 p.m. With that said, we will see you guys next week. Take care and be safe. And don't forget to vote.
Bye-bye.